Races. Let's bring in former Virginia Governor Doug Wilder.
Yeah, he led the state from 1990 to 1994, made history as the country's first African-American governor. Governor Wilder, thank you for being here. It's good to see you.
Good to see you both, Leslie and Lorenzo. It's my
Yeah.
pleasure to be here.
Well, great to see you too. I was a young student at Howard University when I met Governor Wilder for the first time. He was a trustee for the university, and good to see you with greater clarity right there in the shot, Governor. You have witnessed decades of political change in this state. I guess we're wondering, what are some of the biggest things that have changed since your time as governor?
The people, in terms of paying more attention to what's going on, knowing that how important they are, and to not see them taken for granted, and no one does take them for granted. Pollsters, as has been pointed out earlier, they can be wrong. You can take a poll today that says one thing, depends on how you ask the questions. It'll say something totally different tomorrow. So I do think this, though, that we do need to watch the money. And I've always said that, where does the money come from? Who's going to be talking about saving money, and who's going to be talking about government being run at the best possible level without wasting money, and certainly without high taxation? So the people are really involved, and I like seeing that more than ever.
Yeah, so we know you made history when you were elected governor back in 1989, and whoever wins tonight's race for governor will also make history. We'll see that play out in Virginia again. So do you think Virginia has made any progress when it comes to diversity and representation in political leadership?
Yeah, I do think so, but I do think this, and I'd be less than honest if I didn't say it. But when you got government leaders attacking DEI as if it's some vicious thought that came from the minds of people who were plotting evil, when all it means is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And as I point out to so many, the courts of in Great Britain were courts of law and chancery. Our courts right in the city of Richmond were law and equity. Let's not kid ourselves. Our youngsters need to know, and others need to know, the total history of our country. I'm proud of where we've come from. I'm proud to see that we're going forward, but you cannot ignore the past. And one of the things I don't like about some of the leadership that we've witnessed in Virginia is to attack without real reasons or good enough reasons to say, why shouldn't we know more about inclusion and equity?
So I got to ask you, you were sort of the only Democrat, as I'm recalling, on Governor Glenn Youngkin's transition team back in 2021. And I'm wondering, as you reflect on that time, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing the next governor of Virginia?
There always will be money in terms of how difficult it is, but it also is going to be a matter of bringing people together. I used to say, and I've said it on a number of occasions, and I say it now, I don't mean reaching across the aisle. I never saw the aisle. I never looked upon people as Republicans or Democrats. I don't look upon them now as black or white. I look upon them as citizens. And I want to know, what can we do together? What reasons can you give me for not supporting the issues that I want? And I can give you the reasons why I'm not supporting your issues, but not let this rest just in partisanship. Virginians don't want that. The people of Virginia want real leadership, which is a tautology because it defines itself.
Yes, how do you bring people together after this? I know on one of your blogs you mentioned Jay Jones' texting scandal. You called that disgusting. You talked about Winsome Earle Sears and her performance during the debate, deplorable. These are leaders here. These are people who are on the ballot tonight. So what do you do with that? How do you move forward?
The people will adjust. It'll take them some time, but they are always ahead of the leaders because they are experiencing what's out there. They're experiencing inadequate housing, the high cost of living. They know what it means to have transportation that is inadequate as well. And so once those messages get through to the so-called leaders, And when they see continuing to pour money into elections without pouring that same degree of interest into the people, they get it. The real issue is who can we have representing the people to the extent of knowing that they need to listen to the people more. The people will never guide you wrong if you listen and if you pay attention.
Governor Wilder, this is clearly a very different time than when you were governing. Let's talk about redistricting at this moment, because there's been this last-minute push by the Democrats to redraw Virginia's congressional maps ahead of next year's midterm. What do you make of this?
Well, I think that the effort is worthwhile, but I'd be less than honest if I didn't tell you that I didn't think they should have changed it from the beginning. They have already had the authority. Rather than to appoint a commission, the Constitution of Virginia said how it should be done. So then to change the Constitution, to bring it about differently, I don't know that that was the best thing to do. I certainly wouldn't have done it had I been involved in leadership positions as far as the state is concerned. And so how this is going to play out, one thing is going to have to be interpreted by the state Supreme Court as to whether, in fact, they've gone along the lines of the Constitution. Does the Constitution need to be changed again? And that is not the most, that's not the easiest thing to do. And so it's not just a matter of flipping a coin and saying, well, this is where we're going. It's going to take some effort. It's going to take some work to get what you really need and what you want.
Yeah, and with that said, Governor, when you look at Virginia today, how do you feel about the direction of the Commonwealth and where it's heading?
I think it's headed in the right direction in terms of people knowing that we exist. When people know that Virginia is not following any lead, the people are in charge. When you see what's happening at our airports, when you see what's happening right in Virginia, as it relates to what's going on in terms of not just flights and travel, but the seat of government is right here. And most of the people who are in the government, that's particularly at the national level, many of them, the majority of them, live in Virginia. And so Virginia is a player, more than just a player to say yes or no, but a player to maybe say, no, this is how we can do it, this is how we should do it, and to have that continuing outreach to listen to the people. So I think Virginia is always going to be a player. I used to call it a purple state rather than a red or blue state. I now call it a people's state.
A people's state. Sounds like we need more people to hear that message across the United States, more people states. All right, Governor Wilder, always good to talk to you and great to see you. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you both.